The temperature rises and sweat drips off of the brow, but for the teams that have qualified for the SPL Summer Finals, this is familiar territory. Hours of preparation and dominance over an entire split is what got these teams here, all hungry for a victory. Team Solo Mid, AFK Gaming, and Cloud9 would be traveling domestically, while Paradigm, previously Trig Esports, Fnatic, and Titan would cross the Atlantic to represent Europe. Long 5-game sets would ultimately determine a winner, and on top of it all, the games would be played on a recent patch. Each team would have to show their ability to learn and adapt while still playing Smite at the highest level. New meta, new split, new set. The teams would return to hi-rez studios only to be greeted by an updated caster desk, a brand new casual set, and an even more atmospheric venue. The new vision was crafted by just a few members of the production staff, and the result was undeniable.
We wanted to meet everyone's expectations and show everybody that we could take a sketch on a piece of paper and make it come to life. And that's exactly what we did.
With the setting on a new level, it was only fitting that the games ascend to the same new level as well, and it's exactly what we saw. Great gameplay and just the right amount of drama. The Summer Finals was a land to be remembered. Friday came quickly, and the first day of finals was ready to go. Cloud9 would take on Paradigm, but without their spotlight player, Barracuda. Falling ill to food poisoning, the fan favorite would not be starting for the team, and as the series began, Cloud9 was on anything but. With Cloud9 falling in the second game to a surrender vote, Barracuda rallied and rushed to the event just in time for the start of the third game. Cloud9 Star Hunter was able to bring a single win to his squad, but quickly ran out of steam as Paradigm took the set.
So when we watched TSM Fnatic from the desk, one thing that really stood out to me was the comms coming out of both teams. I mean, you heard Fnatic kind of trailing off as their strategy started to lose out to that kind of unstoppable force of TSM, taking up more and more map control, and you heard the TSM comms, especially Divios breaking through as kind of the standout there. So TSM versus AFK, like inside of the studio here, it was actually really, really great. We sat with a lot of the friends and family of AFK actually watching that game. They were in attendance because a lot of that team's here in Atlanta, and kind of the ups and downs of that really, really high octane set, and what probably a lot of people point at as the best set that we had during the tournament. So the TSM Paradigm Finals, like the thing that was so exciting about that was seeing Paradigm actually competing as a European top seed in the end of a tournament. They'd really struggled to get there before, and it was this kind of electric moment of can they do it? Ultimately, no, TSM took them down actually pretty handily, but it was really exciting to talk to the guys at Paradigm and get their feelings in between the games.
It feels great to win, and I can't believe that we did it and we pulled it off, in, especially with that 2-0 comeback yesterday. It was looking pretty dire, but we pulled it back, and I think that gave us a lot of momentum today. And to win that, to be back on top, feels amazing.
With another split land final in the books, the fall split is all that stands between the players and the Smite World Championship. It's been a long road, and the finish line is finally in sight. A final step remains for these players, and soon enough, they will arrive on the biggest stage in Smite. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to hi-rez Studios in Alpharetta, Georgia. My name is F. Joined here by Hindu Man, and well, sans the Titan game that we had a couple of weeks ago, this is the official start of the fall split.
7 games you'll see over the course of this weekend. The following weekends, though, more like 12, not 14. Got too excited there for a second. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of games week in, week out. I'm very, very excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, excited is the understatement of the week for me. I mean, I tweeted it out before, there's a certain type of electricity when the SPL comes back right here in the studio. I hope you guys can feel it at home because we've got so much more competition coming on this split. And we'll take a look at it right now as just to the games that we're going to be seeing. Starting off with today, we've got London Conspiracy versus JusTus. Yes, that's another new name in the SPL, but it's a same old squad. It's going to be upcoming stars. New manager Lydia has now gotten a sponsor called JusTus. So JusTus will be joining us for the first game today as we kick off the fall split, and then we'll flow into Paradigm versus Epsilon.
Across the way over in North America today as well, we'll see Team Elevate up against Team Eager. First time of seeing Elevate in the Pro League. They'll be facing up against Eager with their new member Omega.
Ooh.
And after that, we're going to see Team Solo Mid up against Denial as well. That's all today.
Yeah, that's all today. And then Sunday, August 16th, we've got a slew of games for you as well to check out. Make sure you get your picks fixing on the season ticket. It's really important. Make sure you get those FP. And if you're not familiar with what that is, well, it's only 300 gems, and that grabs you all the opportunity to play esports, sort of know-it-all with your friends. And along that same route, you've also got Alpha Draft.
Yeah, Alpha Draft, you can actually go and win real money playing fantasy esports. Go over it and see exactly what you can do there. I actually did that today last night. Yeah. Because the game's tomorrow, I'm like, well, I think Dig's going to win. So there was a free roll opportunity, and I was like, all right, I'll just put the Dig boys down and see how it goes.
All right. Well, it's actually a lot of fun because you get to actually flex that brain muscle and see against your friends just how smart you actually are when it comes to the SPL. So exciting stuff along that route. And that's just without even mentioning the excitement of the games themselves. JusTus versus London Conspiracy. On the one hand, you've got Team London Conspiracy without SunTouch, who was sort of their marquee player, now with a decent new roster. And across the way, JusTus, same squad, couple of new faces, but a brand new sponsor.
Both had changes. 2 new members on London Conspiracy, 3 new members on JusTus. We'll see exactly how those 2 can do, guys, because guess what? We're going into picks and bans after.
P's and B's, please.
No, please, no, don't about that.
London Conspiracy on the left-hand side of your screen, and Team JusTus on the right side. So we'll take a look at first ban and first pick. Go to London Conspiracy, Hindu Man. What are you thinking going on? Do you think the fall split will look different?
Okay, expect to see some Wukong bans probably coming out, some Ratatoska bans, potentially, depending if Fenrir gets left open. Fenrir very, very strong in the meta right now. We're starting to see him a little bit more in rank play, so I'm guessing the pros, and at least in tournament play, gonna know.
Don't forget, though, of course, Team JusTus, new name, same team. Upcoming stars, their soul and their sausage. This hellban is not really for the meta folks. This is specifically for Sausage the Soul Laner. Hell has a tendency to get out of control if you can't gank her, and Sausage seems to be a little slippery on that character.
Well, I mean, if they pick Hell, what's going to happen there is you'll see that they're going to have to go for an early invade to deny blue buff.
Right.
Especially without hogs nowadays. We're not seeing junglers get hog. We're not seeing solo laners get hog. Mages can start transitioning back there. And the only way you can actually deal with the Hell is to invade early to try and shut her down, like you were saying. And if they don't want to invade early, they want to try and play it safe to start off with, because don't forget, the London Conspiracy, Jungle, and Solo are the new members of the team.
Yeah, it can throw off the game plan that this team had from the get-go. So we take a look. Wukong, that's really no surprise there. One of the more strong assassins in both the jungle and solo lane, surprisingly. And Bologna, also a powerful flex pick.
So we're going to see Athena get banned out there, and that leaves Ratatoska open. We've seen quite a lot of play of him during the Pro League, and during the LAN just gone, we saw a lot.
But he did have a recent nerf to him, Hinterman. He's putting out, he's not able to dash as much, so his idea of being an annoyance might not be so high. And sticking with that same sort of mobility, escapability, Hindu, we see JAnus as the first pick.
JAnus a very safe pick in the mid lane. There's a few counters to him, but at the same time, you can't really count the amount of mobility he can get out. Athena taken off the table. The only other sort of two other mobile gods available that are on his level. You're looking at Thor, you're looking at Apollo for his transitions. I expect to see London Conspiracy just looking to place. I think both teams are just going to pick very safe rosters this time.
Do you think we're going to see a lot of cripples on the side of JusTus as Sylvanus gets picked out, so that takes out the Ares thought? But cripples really seem to stop JAnus in his tracks.
Cripples do shut him down a little bit, but he can still beats to get away, obviously through space and time as well. Don't forget his ultimate. He does get immunity during that. But Serqet, very good at locking him down, keeping him away from those walls and pushing him away with that last breath.
Yeah, the last breath and the Cobra's Kiss, the taunt, is actually going to help displace JAnus, which when it comes to JAnus, you just want to keep him away from the walls because the character can walk through them. So you got to be careful and use displacement to your best advantage. Freya being picked up for London Conspiracy, one of my personal favorites.
Can be classed as a flex pick because it can be running the jungle, but more than likely we'll see that placed into the Hunter role more than likely. A lot of EU, if you remember from the LAN, we were already playing around with that. We picked it a majority of the time. And there's the Fenrir picker. We were saying he's very big right now. People starting to realize that red pot at the start of the game, he's very strong.
Brutalize does so much damage early on, paired with the red pot, as you said. And one of the more potent things about Fenrir, again, is the ambiguity of the pick. Jungle Fenrir, no problem. Solo Fenrir, no problem. Support Fenrir, no problem. And if you're daring, mid might actually work. ADC might be a little problematic, but Fenrir can really go all over the map. So by picking this, it again enhances the ambiguity of the Freya and leaves a bunch of slots open.
Good pick by JusTus here to go for the Agni as well. Agni very safe in the mid lane. Good all-rounder. Going to be played by Fexes as well. Fexes, new to the Pro League once again. Did play in Season 1 for Mortality, but he's a very strong mid laner. His god pool is quite diverse, honestly, but he'll generally stick to his top 3-4 gods. His Ra, he does a bit of Zhonghui as well. Agni's up there with it as well, as we just saw locked in. They've gone for very safe picks, both teams so far. I think the only, The only aggressive picks we've seen is Serqet and the Freya, but Freya's, you know, late game orientated.
JusTus starting out the third round of bans. Aerie is going to be taken off the table. They don't want anybody to shut Serqet down because her entire kit essentially is based around not being crippled. And London Conspiracy opts to go the Hunter route and bans out Medusa. So JusTus picks up a Xbalanque.
Yeah, what we see from JusTus there is they're looking to take away from Emilzy on London Conspiracy. Emilzy's going to be the backbone for this team in terms of shot calling, I feel, this season, especially with Suntouch now no longer on the roster.
Right.
He's going to be the majority person who's going to have to make the calls, and they're going to want him to put him on something that can't be aggressive. Geb can be to an extent, but not to the extent that an Ares can. Add to the fact that they were looking at the Xbalanque. You don't want to pick a Xbalanque into an Ares if you can help it. And then on top of that, you've got the Serqet already. Ares is a good ban away there.
Definitely agreeing. We see the Sun Wukong, and as you mentioned, Geb picked up to round out the lineup for London Conspiracy. So Geb certainly not a flex pick. We'll see him in the support role. Sun Wukong most likely in the solo lane. So I think that really fleshes out where we're going to see these characters. Freya, expect to be joining Geb in the long lane, while Fenrir lurks in the jungle. We wait on Team JusTus's last pick. We've got very clear-cut stuff right now, so we're looking for a solo laner, ideally one to counter Sun Wukong.
I love the calls from London Conspiracy here. They've taken Sun Wukong very strong in the meta right now. They also took the Fenrir. Now, we've seen Sausage play a lot of Fenrir in this solo lane. He could have potentially looked for that. It's going to be a raw locked in, though, for JusTus. Is it JusTus or Justice?
It's JusTus.
Because if you say just, and then US is upcoming stars. Just upcoming stars. That's what I thought when I first saw it. Like, yeah.
I see where you're going.
The raw pick, I'm surprised at. We could go back to the healing meta. This is a very strong healing composition they've got on the side of JusTus right now. The only issue is where they're going to get the Weakening Curse. They can get one and get, but they're going to be looking for two minimum here. But who is going to be the one to get the second one? More than likely Sun Wukong. He doesn't have to really go into anything particularly. He doesn't necessarily need beads because he's got, you know, Ox and then obviously the Cloud as well. And then he's also probably going to go teleport. We see a lot of teleports on Sun Wukong for the rotations. It's 0-0 though, left up. We're going to the first game.
Yes, this is the first game of your regular fall split, ladies and gentlemen. This is the last split before our Smite World Championship. So everybody will be playing for all of the chips here, Hindu Man. It's a long season. There's going to be a lot of games each week, but every single one counts. So London Conspiracy or JusTus are looking to start their season off with a bang.
So just a quick rundown for you if you've not seen these two teams recently. London Conspiracy, Zashu is the new member in the solo lane. His former name was Steefy Beefy. If you're a European player, you should know him for that name. A Soggy Sandal in the jungle for them, being playing that Fenrir as well. And Soggy Sandal, an old school player that's just come back in. And what have we got across the way at JusTus?
On JusTus, like I said, this is the upcoming Star Squad, so a lot of these names should be familiar, but they have boosted their lineup just a little bit. You've got Vote NBK and Argonath in the long lane. Fexes, as Hinduman said previously, of Mortality, going to be holding down the middle lane. Sausage, old familiar, in the solo lane, while Zephyr finds himself in the jungle.
Zephyr, formerly known as Hyperion for the old school players as well over in EU, should know him for that. Vote NBK, been around the scene for a while, is known for the Hunter in the mid lane majority of the time as well, so we're going to see how these guys transition to the Pro League. It's going to be a very, very scary game for both these teams because they're both new rosters and they've both got a point to prove this season.
This should be a great launching start for each one of these squads, though, because they don't have to go up a tenured team. They can afford to maybe make a few more cohesion mistakes than have they gone up against a team like Paradigm.
I agree, but at the same time, you expected to lose to the teams like Paradigm, for example.
Right.
These teams you should be beating if you want to stay in contention, so I think this is a lot bigger than you should expect.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one, even mentally, for these teams to figure out. And right now, as the buffs go down, everybody is headed to lane. Serqet making the early rotation into mid.
So Transcendence picked up here for Vote NBK on this Xbalanque as well. Generally, we like to see Xbalanques go for Devourer's Gauntlets mainly because he does a lot of lane poke. When he throws out the poison darts to lane clear and the bowlers, they both do poke damage to the gods, which means you're going to take unnecessary poke, which you don't necessarily intend to have. By going Transcendence, his sustain is going to be a lot lower. He has to be careful.
He's going to be looking at all of the mana that Transcendence will be able to give him. Transcendence will give him the freedom to use bolas basically whenever he wants and really maximize that poke. But as you said, without the lifesteal early on, Hindu, he's got to be a little more careful.
He does. The push over in the left-hand lane by JusTus, not a surprise. Sylvanus alongside that Xbalanque should be able to get the push power up against the Geb Freya combo. Once we see Freya hit like level 4 to level 6, we'll see her be able to clear that wave in one go, and that, you know, the flow of the lane will change.
It's interesting to see the Xbalanque against the Freya, because neither of these gods have fantastic wave clear when you compare them to characters with just straight line attacks. So it's going to be a tough matchup for both. Good pull on a Geb, but this early on, even still, I don't think that will be too bad. Geb rolls away, still above 50%.
It's a good bit of poke, but it's nothing too much to write home about. It's still against a Millsy on that Geb.
Right.
Because he's still got wards in his inventory too, as we tune in with the junglers right now. The red buff was just given over now to Arrow in that mid lane by a Soggy Sandal, so they're on par for hitting level 5 shortly. Should be about 2 minutes 15 in this game when they hit level 5. If they're a little bit earlier than that, then they're on a good track.
Solo lane looking pretty much as we would expect. Ra's going to be able to clear the wave very early on, very easily. Sun Wukong also is going to have a lot of lane clear. One thing to note, though, since Ra is a mage, we won't see what is pretty traditional on Sun Wukong as the mystical male. No real reason to build it this early against his lane opponent, so we won't have that built-in wave clear.
The one thing I'm going to look to see is how Zephyr performs in the jungle for JusTus here, because he's one of the only physicals in the early game. They need to get Serqet off to a good start here, because as the game goes on, they're going to be very magical focused. Ra's going to have to sustain him heavily, and we're going to see a lot of damage from Agni. The snipe comes out from Sausage there, more defensive than anything else.
Yeah, just a little defense. If you hit him, that would have been great poke, but I don't think it would have necessarily killed the Sun Wukong this early on. Of course, no defensive items on Wukong. You just have the death toll and the movement speed from the boots, so nothing. Did not opt to go the magical defense route. Yeah,
the matchup over in that solo lane going to be very slow, very dull for the most part. We shouldn't really see Sun Wukong get a kill there unless he goes for a weakening curse semi-early on. He could then potentially put pressure on. Be interesting to see whether he goes for Ancile at any point during this game, because that is a very strong item, especially against the 3 magicals that he's going to be dealing with. It will give him extra damage, cooldown reduction as well, and magical protection.
And also stacking health. Uncle A starts off with all those good stats. There's a blink in from Fenrir. The stun will miss. But the ultimate's used. That's the first one of the game. Slow is good from Sun Wukong. And the first blood goes to Zashu on the side of London Conspiracy.
And that's London Conspiracy to a T, what they're going to be looking to do. This is the difference in the current meta. From Season 2 to Season 3, solo lane ganks are more prevalent. EU, we've never been strong on the solo lane ganking, but this season we will be.
Even still, it's a Ra. Ra is extremely susceptible to these types of invasions because he doesn't have a quick dash or getaway. Treble in the right-hand side. Zephyr will get away, but there are 4 members of London Conspiracy here. This rotation could mean a lot of lost experience if they don't capitalize.
It should be okay. Fexes is going to get back and get mid-hop as well. I think Fexes played that perfectly as well.
Yes,
His bomb that just came down and stunned them out just stopped the aggression, and now that ultimate down from Aero, we're going to see a lack of aggression from London Conspiracy this time around. Great work from Fexes because he was in the right position at the right time and still got mid-hoppies.
Blink in, there's the Cataclysm of the Wrath of Terra, and nothing will come of it. So JusTus drops their Guardian ultimate.
Arrow managed to get through the pole, shockingly enough, is JAnus, but Soggy Sandal, good timing on his jump away there, making sure he gets away with that on chain, just so he doesn't get picked up in the early game. The one thing about that gank in the solo lane, just going back to that first blood, is we saw just before that Sausage did use that ultimate, and that ultimate would have given the immunity away from the Ragnarok. And I think that's where we saw the rotation as well, was like, he's not gone back yet, so he's not got beads 1, he's susceptible to ganks from Fenrir as well, and he's not got no ultimate to avoid the damage from the Ragnarok and the pickup.
Even without the stun from the jump out of the Fenrir, was able to secure the kill with just the Rag. So, good play. And as we say good play right here, we're going to take a look at what Vote NBK is doing. What he does right here is he just hits last hits on these minions. And what that allows to do, it allows his opponent's minions to actually kill his, which sounds counterproductive, but it actually takes experience off the table. So straight up, there is just less creeps for London Conspiracy to absorb.
Not just that, if nothing happened in that lane, he could continue to hold it there and not be out of position by pushing the lane. If the next wave comes in, he has to push deeper down the lane and get himself a little bit too awkward, too far forward. So he gets himself in a pretty decent position by just slowing it down, try and reduce experience at the same time.
Defensive and offensive at the same time. Interesting strategy, but pretty standard here in the SPL. We're almost at 6 minutes in. We did see the first blood in the solo lane. Riding along with this dual lane, Freya versus Xbalanque, 7-8.
Oh, I'm going off on this. Sylvanus gonna opt into Shoes of the Magi there. Not gonna go for the Traveler's Shoes, which we see more often than not because it does give the extra gold income plus the mobility. He's looking for raw damage output, which is quite surprising because I don't think he really needs it with the amount of teammates he's got that are going to do magical damage anyway.
Also not something Sylvanus is traditionally really known for. On the Ares and the Ymirs out there, you might not mention that as much.
Exactly.
But this time around, interesting choice.
It's a strange one. I mean, we're going to have to see how it works because it's going to increase the wisp damage. Good bomb onto Soggy. Unfortunately, jumps away again, but that jumps on cooldown. Initiation from Emilzy. On the backside, we're going to see the rotation from Arrow, the through space and time. Didn't choose the right option to pick up the jungler, but instead the Ragnarok's down, and they're looking for the tree.
There's the follow-up. Wrath of Terra out of the tree. Everyone on London Conspiracy is very low, and Fexes and Zephyr will clean that up. 2 kills for JusTus. All alone is Emilzy. He wants to look at the mid camps, but is smarter and turns around. So JusTus, they do drop first blood a couple of minutes ago, but they follow up with 2 kills near the mid lane.
So Emilzy goes in aggressive there. He catches 3 with that Cataclysm, but the problem is his team were not in a position to follow up. We already saw Soggy stand on the jungle, use on chain to jump away from the bomb from Fexes. He tried to collapse to get involved. You saw the Ragnarok use, but the boys of JusTus did such a better job in terms of how that engagement went down. Communication, that's going to be the key. London Conspiracy, they're going to be adapting still, like I said.
I mean, both of these teams are going to be adapting. Communication is the one thing that you really need time with your team. You can practice your mechanics. You can even practice some sort of combos without your team sometimes, depending. But when it comes to raw communication, understanding how your team calls things out, everyone's a little bit different, and that human element is what we're seeing on display here with these 2 new rosters.
I mean, the funny thing is as well about engagements and how we talk about communication all the time is the aggressor that has to have the communication better. Because if the communication doesn't go off in the initial engagement, it's the opportunity of the enemy team to turn it around.
It's essentially the aggressor's job to come with a good plan, and the defense's and the defender's job to really understand the holes in that plan or make it completely diverted.
I mean, when you think about how comms go, it's like, I'm engaging, bang, oh, we didn't get the kill, and then the other people's comms like, they engaged, oh, we're all alive?
Agni Dash is down, their stuff is down.
Let's fight, and that's generally how it goes. So it was mainly London Conspiracy's mistake there at those mid-camps, and it was JusTus abusing the situation, picking themselves up 2 kills, and those Harpies too.
8.5 into this contest. As we said, this is the first of many games today for Saturday, August 15th. 1 to 2 read the current kills for London Conspiracy versus JusTus, but we will play 2 games here today. So whoever wins this one will also want to rally and take the second one. As we see sort of a lull in the action, all teams picking up their jungle. These camps spawn so often, a lot of attention has to be paid to them.
Yeah, it's constantly spawning. Get the extra experience if you can. This is why you're starting to see like big actions of aggression by 3-4 members of the team, and the rest of the time it's back to farming, making sure you're getting as much experience as possible.
Because if you're going to fight, you want to make sure it's worth it.
Unless you like snowball the game in the first few minutes and get a monstrous lead, like 3,000-4,000 gold is a huge lead in the early game. But now you're looking at like 20-22 minutes before like you turn on the pressure. You're looking to have those levels, those extra items. 3rd or 4th item is when you start seeing the big attempts at plays.
Even when you see 2,000, 3,000 gold swings past the 12-minute mark, Hindu, it doesn't signal like it used to. That is definitely down but not out. You can come back to it. I wouldn't say the game is tied, but it's much closer than it has been in recent matches.
Generally, gold's lower in terms of how much you can actually get from kills, which means you're not going for the Gold Fury early. Gold Fury is reducing value as well.
Of course.
So the amount of gold you can get ahead is very difficult to do unless you get a really big snowball going for your team.
This right here looks like a fight opportunity. The left-hand mid-camps will be spawning. This is their, I believe, 3rd spawn, yes. And JusTus and London Conspiracy want to make a statement here. JusTus went ahead and pulled it, but then leashed it. Emilzy.
But MBK's round the back at the moment, and we're going to see Freya coming in as well. Shaggy Shank keeping on the hunters on the left-hand side of the mini-map as well, because they could come in round the back, and one of them could get picked.
Uh-oh. Fexes is in trouble. The dog is on top, and the dog gets the kill. Soggy Sail takes down Fexes. Shaggy Shank on the left-hand side gets Zephyr, and there's still an equal amount of team members here, but in comes the blink from Fenrir. Unchained will miss, but Argonath, you're going nowhere. Zashu says stop, and London Conspiracy win that fight. Vote NBK still here with Xbalanque, Hindu man.
Yeah, Sausage is on the way as well. Vote NBK, he's not even firing at the moment. He's just trying to zone them off, force the reset.
Wow.
They lose a couple of kills. The reset happens, which is good. They should just hold back here. Should JusTus. They've done the right thing. If you look at the gold differential, it's not that much. They lost about 300-400 gold advantage that they had, and instead the Gold Fury stands. It's not as bad as it seems. But a great fight, though, nonetheless, from London Conspiracy.
Exactly. But London Conspiracy really turned it around. Now leading in the kills and very, very, very slightly in the gold as well. I appreciate the decision to immediately turn to the Gold Fury. I think that was the right call. Sometimes you get chased off of it, but you got to check.
Though MBK in that fight as well, if you saw his position was very, very good, but at the same time, I'm not sure if he did as much damage as he could have.
Agreed.
He could have potentially picked up a kill or two there. I think he was just either A, not sure about what cooldowns were available still on the enemy gods, or B, he was trying to play too safe, because obviously it's the first game of the season. First in the new role, it's like, all right, I'm just going to stay safe and hold off. And in doing so, they may have dropped some kills, but they saved the Gold Fury.
If Voda and BK had died there, though, I think that that London Conspiracy would have been able to pick up the Gold Fury as well.
That's a really good point.
Definitely risk versus reward right there in the mind of the Hunter for JusTus. So we'll take a look at Emilzy rolling his way past 3 members of JusTus as they watch the CC Immune Rock roll by.
So we can actually see as well Zashu in that solo lane. Formerly known as Steefy Beefy, if you don't know him at home. He's gone for that Emerald Talisman, so he's going to be going for the extra regeneration. We've not seen as much of the item as we used to in the old days because we've not seen as many mages recently.
But now with the mages, you're going to see a lot of magic protection and sustain.
That's right, and that's all Wukong really needs, because as long as he can sustain, he's just going to be up in your face, punching you time and time again, being a harasser, and then when he's low, he's either going to go on the cloud or fly off in a bird.
Pretty much the unkillable King of the Monkeys, Sun Wukong, has shown to be very, very strong in recent weeks. Fexes riding along with in the middle lane. Enemy middle is missing, but we have the Geb right in front. Fenrir's joining as well. So Fexes safely farming. Don't forget, he does have the ability to dash and stun anyone that wants to look at him the wrong way.
Now, talk about the duo lane from London Conspiracy for a second. Emilzy here does have a small lead over Argonoff on that Sylvanus. Already has Sovereignty finished as well, so it shows that he's getting a little bit further ahead. Don't forget, he does have those Traveler's Shoes, so the additional gold he's going to get throughout this game. Keep an eye on Argonoff and that difference between those two. Checking with Freya, however, she's starting to get those items online.
The Fatalis is already done, which is one of the really identity items of Freya. The boots come because everybody needs boots, and next you'll see a demonic grip, which will allow those gumballs that she's shooting out, the Pulse Irradiate combo, to really start shredding protections, and that's really when Freya starts to get scared.
Exactly. I mean, when she's got Fatalis and the Magi shoes, she's going to be able to clear the way very effectively and not waste too much mana or get herself in a bad position, because she can reposition with the mobility as well.
She can fight a little bit to defend herself.
She can fight well, but once Demonic Grip comes online, oh, does she turn it up?
Yeah, Freya is very, very much looked at as one of the not too hot early game gods that turn into what we call hyper carry later on. So that Demonic Grip will be the start of the avalanche that becomes Freya, Queen of the Valkyries. So we'll take a look at Arrow.
Again, left-hand Harpies. The first fight went to JusTus. The second fight went to Conspiracy. And once again, we're going to see one more fight. This time, Freya's already here. Though MBK is making the rotation, these Harpies are gone. We're going to see London Conspiracy secure them. I like what Emilzy did there. He just walked over and went, hey.
Yeah, I did. I loved that. We got to ride along with Emilzy. He just walks straight forward, shows the confidence in himself and his team. If I get caught, they can help. And right now, he's doing the catching. Cataclysm, but where's the rest of London Conspiracy? Right through the JAnus portal. That's where they are, ladies and gentlemen. Not enough poke, but here comes the diving cop. Zashu, the King of the Monkeys, gets the kill onto Argonoff, and Shaggy Shank falls back.
Shaggy did most of the damage. Zashu just came with the jingle bang and secured the kill for them there. Out there's a re-engage coming out now from JusTus as they do get the last breath onto Shaggy Shank. No ultimate available. He's out of the fight. And now the push is back on from JusTus. Round the back, Zedru's trying to disrupt them. Zashu's trying to disrupt them. Good call from him, though, to try and slow them down a little bit. They shouldn't be able to get the tower. There's not going to be enough minions for this.
But there's 4 members. Do they want to fight London Conspiracy now that they got the kill onto the Guardian? Looks like the answer is, well, they haven't quite made up their mind. They're going to heal up from Ra, and they'll still push this into.
A couple of things in those engagements, though. London Conspiracy going too early. Emilzy's going too deep, not having his team in backup. But then JusTus should have recognized that the fight was still coming because he was early. They should have backed out a little bit more.
Exactly. I completely agree. They overstayed their welcome just a little bit. And just to go along with the motif, London Conspiracy will make JusTus pay for the same transgression they made, just a little too overzealous, and Sausage falls down.
Yeah, they don't manage to get that tower down either. It's only at half health right now. Beads Frost, though, on Zephyr in the jungle. They are rank 2 beads, so they'll be down a little bit for about 2 more minutes as he returns back to that. But 6-4 is the scoreline. Gold is relatively even. There's a 500 gold advantage for London Conspiracy right now, and it's not that much in terms of experience when I just check in with the levels. I don't see huge leads on anybody. Solo's ahead, jungle and mid are behind. Supports ahead and Hunters ahead. So at the moment, it's semi-even.
Slight leads coming out from everybody on London Conspiracy, as you would expect from the kill lead. But as you said, the gold is all but even. I think about less than 1,000 gold separate these two teams, 879. So that not a lead worth talking about. For all intents and purposes, this is a tie game. Certainly anyone's game. Only 16 minutes in. A lot of smite to be played.
Well, like we said, once it hits that 20-minute mark is where we start to see the real changes in this split. We'll see the aggression come out, and that's when the snowball begins to happen now, is around the 20-minute mark. Keep an eye out for that first Gold Fury, because that'll probably be the backbone.
Especially with these picks on both sides of the roster, honestly. You've got Zephyr on Serqet, who kind of needs that Deathbringer to really do what she does, and then vote NBK on the Xbalanque, again, a later game hunter. And Freya, I mean, she's the definition of late game.
So once again, the left-hand Harpies are going to spawn, and you can already see the contention is going to start over these. This just seems to be the plan for this game, is fight at these left Harpies and force an engagement. Conspiracy, though, are up 2-1 in these engagements so far, so why not just keep going with it for the time being?
So the left Harpies, the reason I think we're seeing these fights over the left-hand Harpies is, one, it's easier to have more people present. You've got the duo lane there, so you can drag your Freya or Xbalanque over. And if you win, you get the Gold Fury. JusTus, pick up the Harpies without any contestation, though. So no blood, just gold.
Well, Conspiracy actually did manage to pick up the ward of the Gold Fury. On top of that, Sausage did an early rotation from solo lane when Zashu was in base, so they didn't want to contest it just in case. But maybe they're thinking about a Gold Fury here, because we've got a lot of members of both teams. Sausage did just go back to solo. This is going to be a 5v4 until he gets over here.
This is a force right here, London Conspiracy. Expect them to pull it just enough to see how JusTus would respond, and that's exactly what they get. They see how many people are there. They don't like their odds, and they turn around and go right to lane.
Going to continue to see exactly where these itemization builds are going, because Sausage at the moment, he's been aggressed on. He's 0-2 at the moment, which is fine because he's raw at this moment in time. Good snipe, actually. Is the tick damage not enough? Going to be able to get enough from that one. But Sausage and the solo laner, he's going to go for the utility build on Raw. He's going for Lotus Crown. He's got Chronos Pendant, so he's there to sustain and keep the team alive. No weakening curses still on London Conspiracy.
That Lotus Crown is really going to help this siege, and we'll see it on display right now. Blink in, initiate from Argonath. That's going to be enough to push London Conspiracy onto their heels. And with that, JusTus will take the tier 1 tower in the middle lane.
And then they're going to rotate round to the right-hand side by the looks of it and just pick up those Harpies and continue pressuring. I like the call from JusTus here. They're focusing on towers, because towers at the moment, they're technically a little bit easier to get if you've got so much sustain. And the Gold Fury is a bigger threat to lose.
And towers, of course, offer a static 500 gold for tier 1, so it's a win in the sense of map control more than anything else.
Yeah, map control, but the gold is still a good influx. It does give it a little bit of experience too, which a lot of people underestimate. You can level off that just by like, hey, why did I level up? Oh, we took mid-tower.
Just getting lost in the jungle while you're trying to take down these frequently spawning camps. We'll take a look at Arrow as we ride along with our JAnus player here in the middle lane. Level 15. He's got his threshold maxed up alongside
they do manage to catch him against the wall and pull him away. The stun doesn't connect though, but Arrow is taking a lot of damage. The poison's still ticking. It won't be enough to kill him. And he is, as you said, JAnus.
JAnus has the ability to walk through walls, folks.
I like Arrow's non-panic situation there, though. Amelzi got the shield on him. On top of that, he didn't have beads available, and even then, he didn't even use his ultimate. His ultimate was up, chose not to use it. He knew he could get out of that. Good call from Arrow to hold it.
Yeah, real veteran move right there. I mean, that's an easy panic moment. I like that you picked that out. Real just steady hands, if you will, coming out from him.
The funny thing is, Arrow's got to start being this in the mid lane. You said about veteran move, because on this team now, he's going to be classed as a veteran.
He's the big boy now. Suntouch, again, is no longer with the team. So taking a look at the roster, sure, you've got some people that have seen experience in Milzy and Shadowshank, but Arrow is really the go-to guy, I would say.
Well, he's been around the scene for a long time, Arrow, but he's going to be a big backbone for this team, because the jungler new to the scene. You know, he's had a break from the scene, come back into it, and now he's going to have to sit there and be like, okay, how exactly is this going to go down? Because Soggy Sandal, he's got a lot to prove this season. People don't recognize his name. And if your mid laner doesn't trust you, you're going to have issues. So far, though, Soggy Sandal, I'm happy with his performance so far.
Yeah, it's definitely working out for him. We haven't seen many stuns off of the Fenrir jump. I want to see more of those. So much damage can be done off of a single stun. If I see more of those, I'll be really impressed. Right now, I like how he's all over the map.
Now, things are starting to slow down again. Mid-tower did go down. On top of that, though, after that tower did go down and Milzy picked up that weakening curse, which I was speaking about, it's very important for them to have. I'm waiting to see when Zashu gets it as well, because I want him to see him with the weakening curse as well. I think that's very important for this team. There's too much sustain at the moment here after Sylvanus, Raw now with Lotus Crown finish too. It's going to be a hard, tanky lineup to deal with.
I mean, basically what this is going to allow JusTus to do, they'll be able to go and engage, and then take a step back and do it all over again without returning to base. Whereas the other team, London Conspiracy, they don't really have that on their side. They have individual lifesteal on Freya, which will be high, and Fenrir can dip into the jungle, but outside of that, Hinterman, no real sustain for this comp.
No, not really, and that's what they've got to be careful of, because that's why they lost the mid tower too, because all that happened was 5-man grouped up, but
there's
talking
the
about
stun.
a group, not going to find any engagement. Well, through space and time connects, Geb blinks in with the Cataclysm, but immediately Sausage does get away. A lot was used for Sausage, and they don't find him.
I love the quick thinking of Emilzy to just go for it. Blink in, Cataclysm, hope your teammates respond. Unfortunately, this time they don't. But that's part of the gelling experience.
But now, what JusTus should do here is either force the Gold Fury or start pushing down a tower, because they've got the opportunity. 3 ultimates are down there. They can swing around and force an engagement. They're the ones in prime position here. The sustain will make the difference.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. They know that the Cataclysm is down, JusTus, so that's going to be a huge thought in their minds. There's not going to be a 5-man stun coming out of this Geb, just the knockup. He's going to have to rely on the help from his teammates, so JusTus ready to fight.
And Milzy's taking a lot of poke on the front line there from Vo, but in the jungle at the moment, Fex has dropped to half health. Soggy Sandal does get stunned just as he beads away there, so he will survive for the time being. Zephyr retreating as well. JusTus need to fight this, looking for an engage. There's Argonath going in. He's going to find a big ultimate onto 2, and Milzy takes a lot of poke, but why are they focusing him at the moment when on the front line, Zashu is doing work to them?
Zashu is tearing this team apart, slowing, smacking, killing. He picks up one. A Soggy Sandal picks up one. Argonath, you have no chance to survive. Make your time, says Freya. She gets one for the kill. Zephyr does turn one around for JusTus, but it's just one. And with that banish, it could be trouble.
Can they manage to find Zephyr? No, the ambush away will be good enough. Arrow wants to give chase. The minion wave is there. Zashu, though, gonna focus on the tower. Good call from them. There's a bad mistake going for Emilzy then. I don't know why they were dropping bombs on him. He was out of the engagement. He shielded himself too, and they were still focused to Geb, while the monkey was on the front line, wrecking a causing problems.
There was no threat of Cataclysm, and because of that, London Conspiracy was able to take that fight in spades. They pick up the first tower, and they're going to turn their sights onto the first tier 2 as well.
Big swing.
And this will be a big swing for London Conspiracy. 10-6 read the kills, but more importantly, check out those graphs. 3,200 gold, 4,300 experience.
Remember, tier 2 tower give 300 gold each to every member. The tier 1 tower gives 100 gold to every member. They strip the jungle too, so red buff taken away. Purple buff going to be taken down too, and the Gold Fury is still going to stand. JusTus made the right call then to go for the Gold Fury. They were worried about potentially losing it because now nobody has Hog, so they wanted to wait and reposition. They should have fought early. They waited too long, and the fight went well for London Conspiracy. Good call from them.
We do see a lot of that, Hinduman, when it comes to the Gold Fury and the larger objective, Fire Giant. Without any Hog, it's so apt to be stolen right from under your fingers, especially with Agni, with burst damage from Agni bombs, Sausages snipe, and on the other side, you've got the JAnus ultimate as well as Freya bombs.
And the issue is that both teams don't want to force into that situation. What I want to see, though, I expect to see this going forward in the season, is that teams will be like, we're doing Gold Fury. The moment you come, we will fight immediately. We won't give you time to set yourselves up. We'll drop Gold Fury and just engage on what we see. We have to, because we can't sit here, let them get the skills back up again, like the Cataclysm, which ended up coming out towards the end of that. And then the rest of that, we're going to see Ragnarok going off, and then the whole team get themselves in a position to get to the players they want to kill.
I mean, when you're in a lead, you want to be able to use that lead. You want to fight, but in the other opponent, in the opponent's mind, you don't want to fight somebody that's larger than you. That's how you force the hand of your opponent. We're just going to take this Gold Fury. If you want to stop us, you can, but we will fight you instead.
Really good work from Zedru there over in that solo lane at the moment. Does have Runeforged Hammer finished as well now. Very, very tanky target with that Jotuns as well. A little bit of cooldown and some penetration too. So he's going to be an issue on the front line. It's surprising with no Mystical Mail. He's doing great work in this game.
Cloak. That cloak can be built into a number of items. Hide of the Urchin is a stacking defensive, which seems a little late for. Spirit Robe is an undervalued item, in my opinion,
probably what we're gonna see.
That I love. But Magi's has fallen off.
Well, Magi's is good, but Magi's is still viable. He's still useful, but Spirit Robe at the moment, very strong on some Wukong, especially with this build too. It'll keep him alive even longer, allow him to stay on the front line. Gold Fury is going to go to Conspiracy, not a surprise, as they are going to start swinging this game. I said exactly, around 20 minutes in, we're going to see the game start to explode. I mean, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, the teams are separated by 6,000, and that's what we saw. That was the other side of the decision we were talking about, Hinduman. We'll take the Gold Fury, and this time around, JusTus, they don't want to test it. They don't want to try. They just allow London Conspiracy to pick that up, which is not too good for the red team.
That Pythax piece picked up by Shaggy Shank here as well, so that's going to give him some extra sustain and cooldowns. Engagement onto Vote MBK, great beads usage though coming out from him. And as you can see, Pythax piece there will also give some extra lifesteal to his teammates.
We were sort of lamenting the lack of sustain, and this might help just a little bit, but this certainly won't. Blink in from Argonaut. That's going to send Shaggy Shank into the sky. But here comes the rest of London Conspiracy. You've got Sun Wukong from the backside. Fex says dash is down, and now the monkey has found him. Beads are used on Agni, and he is definitely the target for this fight.
Can Zedru find it though? No, he's not going to be able to.
There it is!
Arrow will on the backside with that unstable vortex. In the jungle though, we're going to see the rotation from Soggy Sandal. Disengaged though. A good call from London Conspiracy. And Millsy was amazing in that engagement. That was the duo lane of London Conspiracy combining so well. What we saw was Freya preemptively beads the damage coming out, but it was weighted on very nicely from JusTus. The moment he did get hit up in the ultimate though, as soon as the last breath came out, Geb shield into ultimate, everybody safe.
That's the gel that we're talking about. Shaggy Shank and Millsy have been not only on this squad, but on previous squads. So that's what you can expect. That's what London Conspiracy and JusTus hope to achieve with the entirety of the team. When everything is running on that type of level, it's incredibly difficult to deal with.
And we said at the start of this, London Conspiracy, they're 3 men that have existed from the last split. They're the ones that are going to have to step up, and at the moment they are doing. Freya and Millsy combining well, Shaggy Shank, and then obviously Aero as well. He's not got the kills this game, but what he has done, he's been involved in a lot of the rotations and picked up 7 assists.
Which is interesting because we didn't see the utility build come out of him. But the player damage, he's sitting about halfway. He's up there. He's the second on his team, just underneath 10,500.
So 27 minutes in. Now Deathbringer finished for Zephyr in the jungle. Does have full blink as well. Heavenly Agility now online as well for Sausage. After that utility build, gonna go for a little bit more penetration, looking for that Obsidian Shard as well, just so he snipes will ring home a little bit more true in the engagements. You can see on player damage there that Zashu done great work over here.
He's done a lot of work, and a lot of that, I mean, he's itemized primarily defensively, Hinduman. Just Pen Boots, Jotun's Wrath, and the Runeforge kind of works to that sort of hybrid item to that effect. But what he's doing, he's just putting himself in the middle of everything.
I mean, to be fair, his damage is going to be a little bit higher because he's against a Ra in lane, and Ra's going to sit there and like, all right, hit me, I'm just going to heal it. So his damage can be like overestimated in terms of how much he's done. He's probably about even with where Agni is at the moment, I'd say. Just needs to drop down a little bit if you take away how much damage Ra would give you for free.
Just free solo lane poke.
Gotta be careful about some of those stats, because sometimes you're like, why did so much damage? You're against the Ra, son. Like, of course you're going to hit him and he's just going to heal it.
London Conspiracy picks up the duo lane tower. 28 minutes in. They start to look at tier 2, but everyone from JusTus is on the left side of the map. So London Conspiracy walks away while Sun Wukong is slowly pushing up right.
Yeah, he's going to be able to push up right. The one thing that's an issue for JusTus
that's a tower for sure.
Is that Sausage at the moment, when Ra's on defensive duties, Ra's not as good on defense as he is on offense. That's the big key you need to remember to him.
There's just no stun.
Well, it's more to do with the fact that when you drop that heal to sustain your team up, you're all stood together. And if an Unchained comes in, or a through space and time, you're all going to get sniped or picked up by a big group stun. It's going to cause issues.
Very true. And as we see JusTus right there, the tower falls to Sun Wukong, and Ra's lack of control just shows up. He is fantastic to support his team in the sense of healing and sustain, but what he lacks hard is the control. Only a single slow, and it's even delayed. So nothing he could really do about the Sun Wukong, and Wukong flies away.
I don't think, did Millsy really mean to take that one? I don't think
so.
Maybe he did. Maybe he might have actually done so. It might have been a good call for him. It was just one of those things I'm like, did he mean that? Because I hate when JAnuses do that by mistake. They can mess up some. We see it in the Pro League all the time. They'll put a portal down, someone will walk through it by mistake. But they're setting up for Fire Giant now. They were looking for a pick. They have vision control all over this side of the map now. It's up to JusTus to get themselves in the position. This is a bait start, though, this one. By the look of the positioning, it's a bait start more than anything.
Yeah, Millsy, they go ahead and they start it. Well, this is the option selective. JusTus doesn't come in; they'll just take it. But right now, they definitely are going to turn their sights because they started. Argonaut stunned out. That's what we wanted to see out of the Fenrir. He's very, very low, and Shaggy Shank will put Zephyr in a box on the right-hand side. Fenrir is looking for some damage while Arrow confirms it. Argonaut Sylvanus is now down. JusTus is only 3 members left alive, and London wants to make that lower.
Starting to collapse now is the side of JusTus. They're up against it as Zashu is chasing down Fex, says the boys on the other side of the map will pick up Sausage with Shaggy Shank finding that pulse damage. Now they can look for the Fire Giant if they choose to. And Zashu,
look at that dive.
He's going to dive all the way in. Well, when you're that tanky, why not?
Zashu is absolutely on a rampage, both in game sense and just the overall word. This Sun Wukong has been going absolutely crazy. I think he earned all the player damage there that time, Hinduman.
Oh, for sure. I wasn't trying to discredit him by saying that about the healing, but like so far he's done great rotations for his team. As new to the roster as he is, he's putting on a performance that could potentially get him MVP for game 1.
And that's what you work for right there. London Conspiracy puts in all the effort and work to go ahead and swipe out their opponent, JusTus. And because of that, they pick up the reward of Fire Giant and Gold Fury. Well, not quite gold. But you do have 9,400 gold difference and a whole bunch of experience. This is the lead that takes the game.
I did like the call from Vote MBK to try and go for that Gold Fury then. I think he realized, though, that they didn't have any vision. But Shaggy Shank and Arrow, they'll be able to get it with this Fire Giant online here. 2,200 in the coffers for Shaggy Shank. He'll probably go back to base. He's got an option of Spear the Magus or Obsidian Shard to pick up. We'll see what he goes for as the Gold Fury finally will eventually, for the love of God, fall down.
London Conspiracy confirmed that and just push their lead even more in the upwards direction. 11,000 gold separating the two teams.
It's not completely over yet. There's still two tier 2 towers left. They've got some sustain still available. Vote MBK has begun working on that crit. That raid should be finished pretty soon as well.
And that's when Xbalanque will start hurting.
Exactly. And with the amount of protections they're getting, I mean, they've got Lotus Crown. They've also got Heartwood Amulet as well as the Sovereignty. So both those will give auras off that will give extra protections, as well as the Lotus Crown too. A lot of protections on the side, a lot of sustain on the side. It's London Conspiracy though, they're just picking them apart.
London Conspiracy, picking them apart is pretty accurate, I would say. It's exactly what we've been seeing for the entirety of this game, really. JusTus had some solid plays early on, Hindu, but London Conspiracy was ultimately allowed to turn it around, really.
I think the big keys from what I could see from this game was London Conspiracy went aggressive. Their comms early was a little bit too not coordinated enough. We saw a Millsy going aggressive too soon sometimes. The one fight that we saw them lose at the left Harpies at the start to JusTus was when they didn't communicate very well, and JusTus turned it around on the counter-attack. But once they started to find the flow, JusTus had a couple of opportunities to step away from the fight, but they kept going in. Yeah, they could have stepped away and just probably saved a little bit more than they did.
We're getting an opportunity here, folks. Really relish in the fact that we're getting to watch London Conspiracy learn to mesh as a team in front of our eyes right here in Game 1. I think the first couple of engagements versus the next couple of engagements are the perfect example. And we'll see that one more time on display as they siege down the left Phoenix.
Blinks in, Cataclysm's onto 3. The knock-up is good onto MBK, who has to Jaguar away. Zashu just going to go in deep and push people further back as well. Fexa's trying to do what he can in the front line, but he's got to watch out for the soggy sandal.
JusTus is just pushed out of control. Left Phoenix has already fallen, but London Conspiracy is not done. Fenrir goes up in the Ragnarok. Serqet is able to make it away. No big deal for the slippery assassin. But London Conspiracy do walk away with the Phoenix, not able to get as much as they wanted it.
No, that's all they needed. That's all they got. What they needed.
I agree.
They've got Fire Giant too, which is going to regen them. That's the funny thing about our regeneration comp that we see out of JusTus with all this sustain. Well, when the enemy team's got Fire Giant, they've got just as much.
And with that, London Conspiracy will head to the right-hand side, pick up the tower.
That hit 4 people with that unstable vortex. Great work from Arrow just to see it over the wall.
So much poke on that ability.
Well, at this stage of the game, yeah, plenty of poke. But it hit 4 members as it waved.
It's tough to walk away from as a unit. It's not a straight line. It's predictable, but
again from a Millsy. There's another Cataclysm. Got to find Thor that time. Space and Time hits MBK, taking him out of the fight one more time. Sandal, though, going to chase down and pick up Sausage, who's going to fall to the wayside. And London Conspiracy are looking for another Phoenix.
London Conspiracy still with the foot on the gas pedal. Zashu is taking a lot of damage, but he is Sun Wukong. He gets a boost. You saw that burst, folks. Zephyr falls down to the hands of the solo laner. JusTus still barely alive. You've got the mid laner, Hunter, and support around, so there is a core here. But London Conspiracy definitely have the advantage.
Really abusing the fact of the Fire Giant as well. They're going to make sure they can pick up Vote MBK, who's trying to do what he can at the end of the game. The sustain was good on him, but he's not going to be able to keep alive as Zero with the unstable Vortex will secure the kill. And with that, we should see Conspiracy take this game.
That's enough, especially Shaggy Shank just putting a dot on it, folks. This one, 19-6, reads the kill line. London Conspiracy will take the first game of your fall split against JusTus. Congratulations, but there's one more.
Not a terrible set from either team. I know JusTus will not be happy with their performance there, but there was a lot of things that went on in that game that I was excited for both sides. They've both got new rosters, 3 new members on JusTus, remember, 2 new members on London Conspiracy, but JusTus that game, their early game went very well. They counter-initiated very strong over those mid-Harpies, then they realized the opportunity to group up and push with the sustain and pick up that tier 1 tower. A couple of engagements later, though, didn't go so well for them.
Yeah, London Conspiracy really caught the really hot momentum swing sort of mid-game, but it all started a little bit differently. First Blood is what we're going to take a look at right here to see where all the action started initially, and it was on the side of London Conspiracy with Zashu.
Now take into account Sausage here had already used the snipe to actually clear out Wave and keep himself safe, so they realized he had no escape from this Ragnarok, and Zedru didn't bait the situation. Sometimes you can see poker faces going on in the solo lane.
Yep.
If you make the mistake of giving away your hand too early, the enemy team could be wise and back up. He didn't that time. He stayed very, very deep, allowed Soggy Sandal to do all the work. Good combination from those two.
The blink from the Fenrir also helped the surprise factor. Having that blink on Fenrir, an already surprising character jumping out of the jungle, is just going to increase that gotcha factor, which is sort of really what we're looking for. And I mean, we saw him in First Blood. We saw him a lot later on in the game as he got tankier. Player of the game, Zashu, solo laner for London Conspiracy.
Good rotations, good use of when to get teleport as well, because that first engagement away, he picked up the teleport and turned to the team fight, really swung it. Sausage wasn't able to get there as quick as he would have liked to, because I think he just based at the same time. This was good communication from Conspiracy, and Zashu in his first performance here, I want to keep calling him Zedru for some reason, but Zashu for his first performance here did a great work so far. New rookie player to the SPL, formerly known as Steefy Beefy, led the way.
This is how you make a statement in your first game. This is how you announce yourself. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Zashu, and I'm ready to fight. So really exciting stuff. Not just Zashu, though. There was a number of other players in that game looking very, very hot. We have your Alpha Draft top performers right now coming at you, and we'll take a look at just who made the impact there. And the dual lane, no surprise, Shaggy Shank really dealt it out.
Shaggy Shank Arrow on there as well. Soggy Sandal with his lovely new page. You can get a first look at what he looks like, as well as Zashu as well in the bottom left-hand corner. And basically, it was all London Conspiracy, shockingly enough.
Yeah, London Conspiracy, they really pulled out all the stops. About,
you know,
as you mentioned, 20 minutes in, LC pulled out all of the stops, even the support of Mealsy making it there to the top performance. So every role performing as they should in order to secure these victories.
For the most part, Soggy Sandal, I think, has got a few things to work on. It looks a little bit skittish sometimes. A couple of missed abilities here and there. It's not something that he's going to get. He wasn't too punished for it, is the best thing.
Yeah,
but he just needs to adjust that a little bit. And Mealsy needs to think about where his team is in position before he goes for those blink initiations, because sometimes they're a little bit telegraphed for the engagement coming afterwards.
Right.
We'll see what they do in game 2, though.